Welcome to the all-new FIA European Rallycross Championship show presented by Monster Energy. Following every race weekend, we'll be bringing you an action-packed show full of races, stories and gossip, as well as more races as we chase down every beat through the year of Euro RX, TouringCars and Super1600s as these three dramatic race series take centre stage. Round 1 sees the teams arrive in Belgium at the Circuit Jules Tacheny, built in 2010 near the historic street circuit of Mettet. It's a 5-round championship this year, and Belgium is our prestigious first stop. About an hour away from Brussels in northwest Europe. Our first chance to see the class of 2016.
Yeah, we got 30 cars lining up here in Belgium, and it's a really exciting championship. Yeah, Euro RX is perfect to get started and show your potential to the World RX team.
I have to tame a 600 horsepower beast doing 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 1.9 seconds. It's an insane car. It's not easy with just foot and hands.
The level is much higher than it seems to be from the beginning, so it will not be easy, and I really need to fight hard to win again. I'm not underestimated, no one.
Also battling this weekend are the Rallycross touring cars.
It's a very tight class. We have a lot of fast drivers. We race in mostly Northern Europe. It's a really fun category to step into if you come from lower classes or if you've raced nationally.
So driving a touring car is really fantastic. It's cars with a 2-liter engine, around 300 horsepower, rear-wheel drives.
Very good for the spectators because we go much sideways with the 285 horsepower and 5th-speed sequential gearbox. It's really great to drive it.
For anybody new to Euro RX, this is how the championship works. Everybody takes part in 4 timed qualifying sessions. The top 3 from each semi go through to the final for a chance to win the event. Drivers score championship points at all stages of the competition. It's an epic battle from start to finish in Euro RX. Well, that's the big picture of how the competition works. Let's have a look at this specific circuit with commentator Andrew Coley.
Mettet in Belgium. Unique track layout in that the start is in the opposite direction to the finish. They only use it the once on the way down to turn 1. 1,149 metres, it's 61% asphalt and 39% dirt. This is the tricky turn 1, and it's a big drop off onto dirt and a right-hander. You set the car up on the brakes and through a gravel chicane using the curbs on both the left and the right-hand side of the road before heading into a tight hairpin. So handbrake here. Then it's a tight line round the curbs or let the car run wide. Either way, move across to the right-hand side, pulling gears down the straight, on the brakes and close to that tyre bale on the left. Mind the curbs on the right. Off-camber left-hander, uphill, close to the bollards on the right. Then you cross over the track, back onto the gravel, and this is where the joker lap splits off. So the joker goes right, we're going that way. It's very tight, crucial to get in on the curbs on the left-hand side. And that gives you a straight exit onto the straight. The standard lap merges from the left, and it's a race to the finish. Q1, 2 and 3 for the European Rallycross Championship. The touring cars was held on day 1 of the Belgian event, with honours being shared between 3 different drivers. Q1 went to David Nordgaard in his Ford Fiesta. 2014 champion Daniel Lund took Q2, while Q3 went the way of Fredrik Magnusson. Magda Andersson had a tough first day with a spin in the first corner in Q1 and an off with a heavy impact in Q3, leaving the team with work to do overnight. Come Sunday morning though, the car was back in one piece and Andersson put on a fantastic display to pay back all the hard work from her team, winning Q4 overall and in the process qualifying for the semi-finals. So Magda Andersson down in 7th place, Nordgaard with the top qualifier spot. Remember, the top 16 get championship points, only the top 12 qualify for the semi-finals. Odds to semi-final 1 and evens to semi-final 2. Well, here is how they line up. David Nordgaard on pole with Danny de Buccleuer alongside him. Daniel Lund and Magda Agnason on second row. And Kjetil Larsen and Anders Bratton on the back. Revs up very, very high. It's another really, really long hold. Lund has got a great start from the second row, so Lund is right up behind Nordgaard on the way down to turn one, but Buckelaire's going to try and come around the outside. But it is Nordgaard who leads. Oh, and there's contact. Magda Andersson is coming through into third place, so Magda looks like she might go to third. De Buccalaire spins. He's been collected in the background. We've got a roll. So we've got a roll straight away on the roof. Looks like Larsen, is it? So car on the side, we might well have a red flag. Either way, Nordgaard leads Andrew Jordan. A bit of carnage right at the start.
Isn't it? Yeah, all played into Nordgaard's hands. Nice and steady start for him, kept it tidy on the inside, and then there's all a bit of carnage. Yeah, we've got a red flag.
Red flag.
I can see the drive.
There's contact there. There's contact after the red flag. So the driver's... Magda hasn't seen the red flag, and she's seen it now. There we are.
We're going to see here. So this is the start. So keep an eye on the Skoda in the back. You've got a great start. He's looking at the inside of Lund there. Keeps it nice and neat and tidy.
Watch De Buccalaire in the white Volvo on the outside now. So De Buccalaire comes down the hill, and it's him that spins, which is what causes the problem. So Anderson inside, De Buccalaire spins. Now watch into the side.
There's nothing he could do about it. Nothing Larsen can do. You can see why he's annoyed about it, because there's absolutely nothing.
He's actually lucky he landed on the tyres.
But here we go here. So De Buccalaire, here he spins, collects him, rolls onto the tyre. This, I don't know if it's broken his right front suspension.
Yeah. Touring car semi-final one about to be restarted. Two of the cars not going to make it back. De Buccalaire and Larsen, two damaged from that roll earlier on. Oh, bad start by Lund. Anderson looked to have got a good start in her badly damaged car. She ran at the back of someone after the red flag. Lund on the inside. Anderson's going to try and come around the outside of Nordgaard. Nordgaard leading with Anderson behind, and Lund has been dropped down to fourth.
Lund really looked out there, didn't he? Didn't get the best to start. Magda Andersson clipped the tyres, added a little bit more damage to that car. The car's really been in the wars this weekend. As you said, Andrew, most of that front damage has been taped up, because when it went red flag in the initial run, she went at the back, so that's Bratton with the problem. Whether it's a missed gear, but Lund, you know, he's been very quick as a former champion. Had a pretty bad year last year, a bit unlucky, so he's going to be keen to get his season off to a good start. But Nordgaard in the Fiesta, he's been on form this weekend. He's moved to the Fiesta from a Focus, and it seems to be suiting him pretty well.
Now remember, of course, 6-lap race, one joker lap. You can see two of them have gone to take it already. So Lund has gone through the joker lap, and Magda Anderson, Bratton has gone to the joker lap. Bratton looks to be on a go slow. Only the top three go through here. So if you were your spotter for one of the front three, surely you'd be calling saying, Bratton's got a misfire, just chill, you've made it. Especially Anderson, who's got such a badly damaged car.
Absolutely, you know, everyone's going to want to win. But realistically, looking at the bigger picture, they're in this for the championship. They want to get there at the end of the season. So when Bratton went past the commentary box, it sounded like he had a really bad misfire. So
bad timing for Bratton, bit of a shame. Magda Anderson, who now goes into the joker lap. So Anderson into the joker lap. She's only got to get that done. And as we said, as long as she finishes the race, she'll go through. Anderson yesterday then, just to give you a bit of backstory for her, she had a spin in Q1. She did really well in Q2. 17 or 18 years old, so a very young female driver. We've got 3 female drivers who've made it through to the semi-finals in touring cars, which is a brilliant story for the sport, and just goes to show, there we are, stopped at the side of the road. So Bratton has stopped at the side of the road and is out. So these 3 are definitely going through. They can now really relax. But yeah, Anderson yesterday, after that great time in Q2, then in Q3, because they ran 3 of their qualifying sessions on the Saturday here in Belgium, because we've got such a big entry in Supercar. She had an absolutely massive shunt in the first corner, so she ran wide, bounced off the tyre wall, and was hit really hard in the rear. I think it was by Lona. They were repairing Lona's car last night. He didn't finish today in the final qualifying session, but Magda did. And in fact, Magda won Q4, having had that enormous damage last night. It's a great way to repay the team's hard work.
Absolutely. If there's, there's one thing you want to do if you've had a bit of an off and damage to the car and they're up to all sorts of hours repairing the car, is then go out and repay their hard work with the win. So the car looks a little bit second-hand after this weekend, but she's in second, so it looks like she'll go through to the final and have a good starting position. But with these cars, it always amazes me that the traction they've got. They're rear-wheel drive, so not four-wheel drive like the supercars, much less power, but still, they tend to run them really soft, so you'll see the car moving around a lot on throttle. That gives a lot of traction to the rear wheels and improves traction off the corner.
They do sound fantastic as well. Normally aspirated engines, so 2-litre engines, not turbocharged. Lund starting to catch up with Anderson, but with just a couple of laps to go. I think he still would try for a pass because turn 1 here is tricky. You could argue in some ways you don't want to be in the centre of the grid. I'd kind of either rather be on the front row and try and get through it, or what we saw Petter Solberg do in World Rallycross in the final qualifying session. A dreadful start. Everybody ran wide in turn 1. If you're on the back of the grid here, it's never an advantage, but you can see where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. We've seen people lead from turn 1 having started on the outside of when they've all been 5 abreast, which on paper you wouldn't want to do. We've seen people lead after having a really bad start, so you know you can't pick where you start from, and this first corner, because it's into such a tight right-hander, always makes for action. But this is a really good feeder series. We've seen Robin Larsson go into the Supercars, we've seen Anton Martin go into the Supercars, so for kind of aspiring drivers, it's great to look at people like that, seeing them progress through the ranks, through this class, and cutting it at the front of World Supercars.
Front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, it seems, are a good way to move on to a 600 horsepower four-wheel drive supercar. I think they basically say that they turn in like a two-wheel drive and they exit like a front-wheel drive and exit like a rear-wheel drive. So you're going to learn half the trade at least with a front or rear-wheel drive car. It's just double the power and double the wheel drive that you need when you move on to supercars. So it turned out then to be a relatively easy semi-final for these guys. Nordgaard through the last corner, the checkered flag is out, there it is, and Nordgaard will go through from the TQ spot to take a front row slot in the final. Magda Andersson makes it after the shunt yesterday and after the damage here, not seeing the red flag of running into the back of the car in front, and Lund has gone through as well. The other 3 cars, 2 of them retiring after the first start, and unfortunately Bratton in the restart. Here's the result: Nordgaard, Andersson and Lund make the final with points for them. The other 3 get points too, but they will go no further this weekend. Semi-final 2 for Touring Cars, rolling up to the line now. Fredrik Magnusson on pole with Ben-Philip Gundersen next to him. Then we've got Per Magne Royras, Camilla Antonsson, Alexander Bjornstad and Mandy Cass. Quick tyre warm, just to make sure the tyres are A, clean, and B, a little bit warmed up. Do you think it makes a huge difference, Andrew? You've done this obviously different in a rear-wheel drive car, but you've done it in supercar. Tell us the purpose of the tyre clean for people who are new to the sport.
Yeah, they call it a tyre clean, but it's also really to gauge your launch control settings, to gauge what you need to do with the revs, whether you need to go a little bit up higher on the revs, or whether it's just right, or whether you need to come down. So it's, yes, it'll put some heat into the tyres, of course, but it's more just to get a gauge on the RPM.
Green flag. Marshals are just lining up the last car back right on the grid. They're 12 centimetres from a jump start sensor, so these guys are subject to the same rules as the guys in the World Championship of Supercars. You can creep just a tiny bit on the line, but if you move, that's it, jump start sensor off, and you have to do 2 joker laps instead of 1. So a 6th lap semi-final 2 about to get underway. How long will the hold be on the lights this time? Magnusson and Gundersen on the front row. Straight onto the rev limiter, and away. It's a really even start. Great start, Magnusson. Gundersen, though, looks to have hooked it up better. Gundersen trying to come around the outside, up the inside. Royras in the red Mazda. Royras could stand to get 2nd place here. He can sneak up the inside. Oh, and he's having a look down towards the curbs, but not quite. So Gundersen is 2nd, Magnusson leading. That was really sensible driving from the top 2 there. Gundersen tried to sweep around the outside, but gave Magnusson enough room on the inside so they didn't run into each other. You know, they're sensible guys. They know really it's the top 3 that go through. Obviously, the race time's out of the window now. It's about the top 3 position. So they played the game really well there. Is it, you know, when you sat on the start line and seen a restart in the previous semi, does it just give you that little reminder, just don't be a muppet into turn 1? Because obviously everybody gets a bit overexcited. This is the first time they're really truly racing for position. You've got to make the top 3. Turn 1 isn't the place to do it here.
To be honest, you probably sat there and yes, you'd think that, but then as soon as the lights go out, that probably goes out the window, really. So it's, you know, a lot of these have been doing rallycross for quite a while, so they know the score, they know what to do with it. But it's a race, they're racing drivers, and they want to win whatever race they're in. So it's the Fiesta looks the dominant car here, doesn't it, to help us out and make it a little bit more difficult for us in commentary. There's 5 Fiestas out of 6 cars, so we can pick the Mazda, that's for sure.
We can indeed. So Magnusson leading, won here last year. On into the dirt sections, really cleaned up now. You can see that how much more slippery the Joker lap is as we see Roy Rass in the Mazda. See the dirt flying up there, gives you a good idea. Of course, the Joker lap used far less than the standard lap, so still much more slippery, and that makes it harder to judge when you're only doing it once per race.
Absolutely, and it, you know, the Joker obviously as well, there's a lot of time made up or lost, so you want to push it to the absolute limit. But we saw Sebastian Loeb on in the heat trying to gain that little bit of extra time, overcooked it, and then dumped a huge amount of time. So it's a really interesting aspect, and with the Joker, the spotter has a huge amount of input, because yes, they're looking at who you're racing, but also if they joker you early, for example, they don't want you then to come out behind a slower car, because it defeats the object of trying to joker early.
Fantastic noise from the Mazda engine on the back straight. 3 laps to go. Who's jokered so far? So Roy Rass, Bjornstad and Cass have all jokered. Our leading 2 haven't, Magnussen and Gundersen. Magnussen with a decent lead over Gundersen. Those 2, in fact, have managed to gap everyone except Roy Rass. So Roy Rass
has got a puncher. I think Magnussen might have a left rear puncher.
Great
that
spot.
Just went on the, you could actually hear it as it landed on the jump. You could hear a big impact on the left rear.
Absolutely brilliant spot. Andrew Jordan, I've never met anyone who can spot a puncture faster than he can. So Magnussen is continuing to lead, but Anderson now, Gundersen, sorry, behind. He's going to, hopefully, for him, make fairly short work of this, because if he doesn't, if he gets held up here, Roy Rass behind is going to gain big time. Roy Rass has been in, and here now he's realised, OK, we've got someone retired up in the Joker lap, but gone straight to the Joker to try and find a bit of space.
Gundersen hesitated there because he wanted to do the opposite of what Magnussen did, obviously, with the puncher, so that's worked out well for him. But Magnussen will keep pressing on here. There's still a very good chance, I would think, of him making it through to the final.
So Magnussen leading. He's on 3 tyres and has to just hold on to a top spot. There you go, look at that, digging in at the rear. It's the rear left, which is handy on a circuit which is anti-clockwise. So obviously able to lean on the car. We saw this with Johan Kristoffersen last weekend at Hockenheim.
I was going to say, we saw Kristoffersen nearly hold on to that race with a puncher, and obviously it's a huge disadvantage. But if you drive it quite neat and tidy and accept, yeah, I've got a puncher, it's not what I want, but if you still drive it in straight lines, don't ask too much of it, I'd still think he'll make this through to the final.
So Magnussen goes to the Joker lap, and it's all about whether or not can hold on in 3rd place. So the top 2, Gundersen and Roy Rass, have gone through. Gundersen and Roy Rass are definitely going to make this. It's going to be about whether or not Magnussen can hold on in 3rd place. So here we are, Magnussen with just a lap to go, and from the competition has a lead for his 3rd place of around the length of the straight. I think you're right, AJ. I think he can do this.
You can see him through the window. I was going to say, he'll be quite busy in that car trying to keep it in a straight line, and you can see it's like he's fighting a wasp in there trying to keep it in a straight line.
Doing a good job so far. Gundersen inheriting the lead. We'll be pleased with that, and of course that's going to put Gundersen through to the front row. Roy Rass going through to row 2. These guys coming around to finish the lap now, and I think this is going to be on. I think Magnussen's going to do this. So round towards the finish line to take the win in semi-final 2. Gundersen gets the job done. Roy Rass in 2nd. We're looking for that 3rd place. There we are. And it is going to happen. Great drive for Magnussen. Led, got a puncture with 2 laps to go, and still makes it through to the final. That is a great drive. Very well done. Not sure some of the crowd realised quite how hard that will have been inside the car. Here's the result. Ben Philip Gundersen from Roy Rass and Magnussen, the top 3 going through. Antonsen, Cass and Bjornstad are out. First final of the year for touring cars. Here is how they line up. On the front row is David Nordgaard with Ben Philip Gundersen. Row 2 is Per Magna Roy Rass and Magda Andersen. And row 3 is Fredrik Magnussen and Daniel Lund. On the back row, Magnussen on the inside, of course, was on pole in semi-final 2 till he had a puncture. Won here last year. What can he do from there? We're about to find out. It's Nordgaard versus Gundersen down to turn 1, assuming they get it hooked up. Green light, all the rears of the car sit down hard. Magda Andersen looks to be going well on the outside. Roy Rass is closing the gap down, but it's Gundersen coming around the outside. So Gundersen with a bit of contact from Nordgaard on the inside. Andersen's now on the inside, so Magda Andersen looking to move up to 2nd place. She is on the inside, so Andersen passes Gundersen. Magda Andersen is up to 2nd place. She might have a chance here. Nordgaard's out, good spot. Andrew Jordan, great spot, broken suspension. Magda Andersen from a big shunt yesterday in Q3 is leading the final.
Well, we saw she's got the pace. She won her qualifying 4, didn't she? She won it overall, but Nordgaard's been on really good form. Unfortunate for him, a little mistake, just trying to cut it a bit too fine to the tyres. Clipped the tyre and broke his suspension. So, but this is all stemming from a great start from Magda Andersson.
Great job, Magda Andersson. Now, she led last year, Andrew. I think it was Buxtehude, wasn't it, where she was leading last year in touring cars, and I thought she might do it, but unfortunately she didn't. But it's not going to be long before she wins. We have actually had a female winner in touring cars before, the first winner of an FIA event, which might have been at Buxtehude the year before. My memory fails me, but Andersson leading this one. Oh, 2 wheels again in the background. These curbs continuing to bite. Andersson now starting to come under pressure, though, from Gundersen.
Yeah, Gundersen's very quick, but the spotters will be on the radio to Andersson, I'm sure, saying to keep your eyes forward, don't worry about what's happened behind, or what's happening behind, don't worry if anyone's catching or not, just do your thing, hit your apexes, keep it nice and neat and tidy, don't need to try and do anything different just because you're in the lead of a final, just do what you did in qualifying 4.
Yeah, just push, just drive, and she's gapped them there on this one, which is great to see. Into the joke that goes Daniel Lund, the champion from 2014, who had a really tough year in 2015. So Lund slots in at the back. We had a chat with Magda on the first day. Oh, Roy Rash with a big jump. Roy Rash with a big jump in the Mazda.
Got a puncher, I think. It looked like I had left rear puncture.
It has. You continue to spot punctures like a hawk.
I'm just on the lookout for them all the time.
That's all he looks for when he watches motorsport, is punctures, but he's very good at spotting them. So Roy Rash, I think we can expect to hold people up maybe. But again, he's lucky in that it's a rear left. It's that jump, I think, is it? You get it on the rear left and then you can try and hold on because you've got a rear right tyre, but tricky. Andersson leading.
Andersson's opening up the gap. She took some time out of Gundersen in the last lap, and she looks like she's opened it up even more. So it's going her way at the minute. If she keeps it cool and plays it sensible, she might be on for a win.
Be great to see Roy Rass sliding around with just that one tyre on the rear. Magda came here. This car looked absolutely perfect when she came and say we spoke to her on Friday. We interviewed her for the show. She was all smiles, looking forward to it. The car was in mint condition. She, you know, had a couple of little things. I think it was Q1 where she span. It was all going so well, and then a big impact. And last night they were working so hard to fix this car. It was a great reward to win Q4. Is she going to go Joker? She does. So Andersson goes to an early Joker, and Gundersen behind. Gundersen's Joker too. I wouldn't have gone the same lap.
Magnussen's coming through, so Magnussen coming through in second. He was leading the semi-final, so he had a puncher, so he's obviously very quick, so that's going to ramp the pressure up a little bit. There's 2 laps left.
He's going to have to actually hold on. Yeah, he's going to actually have to pass her though, isn't he? Everybody's taken the Joker lap now. So Magnussen, who had that puncture, like Roy Rass, the rear puncture, and he really is piling it on. So Magnussen now right up behind Magda Andersson. So Magda, I think, has jokered because of that gap behind.
I think the team have done that because Magnussen in the white Fiesta has been going quickly, been going about 3.5 tenths quicker than Magda Andersson, so they've done that as a reaction to his pace, but he's getting very close. Can she hold on for the last lap?
I'd really like to see her do so. I say she's 17 or 18 years old, she's studying business. I said, what do you want to do when you finish studying? She said, I want to drive race cars. She's studying business. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I think she's studying business, so she can continue to afford to drive race cars. Takes a lovely defensive line over the crest. It's a brilliant drive by Magda Andersson. Really like to see her get the job done. She's just got a few corners to go, tidy through the chicane. It's important now to get the power down. But good stuff. Manages to get the power down on the straight and just a few corners to go. Andrew, what's going through your mind now?
Just keep it neat and tidy, don't make any mistakes. But sometimes the more you think about that, you know, you think you're about to get a win.
And you get tight.
You get tense up a little bit. Just got to keep it neat and tidy. Hug the inside line here.
Don't run wide, Magda. Don't run wide. Not now. Oh, Magda, no. She's got a bit of contact. She's on the gas. She's going to try and hold on down towards the finish line. It's going to be a drag race right to the line. Magda Andersson alongside. I think Magda's going to take it. She does. Magda Andersson wins from Magnussen and Gundersen. That's a brilliant drive. What a result for the very likeable young lady. Brilliant, brilliant drive. After the disaster of yesterday, they rebuilt the car and she takes the win in touring cars. Fantastic drive. Brilliant story. Well, crowd treated to a good race there. Here's the result. Magda Andersson with the win and 8 championship points ahead of Magnussen, Gundersen, Lund, Roy Rass and David Nordgaard.
Magda, it's not been the easiest weekend for you. Tell us what it means to win the final here.
It means absolutely everything. You know, with ending yesterday with the crash in Q3, I thought my weekend was over, and the team worked nonstop through all night, you know, and I'd like to thank them so much. And now we stand here with a win, and it's absolutely crazy. I never expected this yesterday, and it feels absolutely amazing, and I want to thank my team and my partners.
Here are the championship standings after round one. Fredrik Magnusson leading from David Norgard. Magda Andersson in third place, so hadn't done quite so well in qualifying, but of course wins the event. Ben Philip Gundersen is fourth, and it's Lund, Roy Ras, De Bukkelaer and Antonsson. Last year's Belgium winner and Euro RX Championship runner-up Jérôme Grosjean showed that staying at Albertech Racing over the winter was a sensible decision, taking wins in both Q1 and Q2. His teammate and reigning champion Tommy Rustad was his closest competitor on the first run. Reigning touring car champion Fredrik Souston made the move up to Supercar for 2016 and didn't have such a good day, rolling his car after the Belgian Turn 1 crest. Championship favourite Kevin Hansen was involved in this Turn 1 shunt in Q1, but had a great recovery drive in Q2 to keep his hopes of a semi-final place alive. Well, it was more of the same on day two for Jérôme Grosjean. He took both Q3 and Q4. Tommy Rustad had more problems but made it through in seventh. And Kevin Hansen managed to qualify in fourth. So the front rows of the two semi-finals are Jérôme Grosjean and Claude Linnerud, with Rajala and Hansen on the front in semi-2. European Rallycross Championship for Supercars starts here in Belgium. Here is the lineup for semi-final number 1. On pole, Jérôme Grosjean, championship runner-up from last year, and ex-World RX driver Claude Linnerud. Next row, Tamas Kurai and Tommy Rustad, the current champion. And bringing up the rear, Martin Kasmarski and Derek Tohill. Derek Tohill on the back row, a double European touring car champion. Rustad, as I say, currently the European Supercar champion, but it's his teammate who's done a fantastic job in qualifying here. Jérôme Grosjean on pole in this one, won every single session of qualifying. How will he do in the final? Semi-final 1 underway. Kurai with a brilliant start in the background. Kurai's right up behind Grosjean and trying to come around the outside toward Linnerud. Derek Tohill up in the back row into fourth place, and Rustad's gone down to the back. Contact there. So it's contact between Linnerud in the side of Kurai all the way down. Somehow holds on to it, but that was a brilliant drive by Linnerud to just keep control of the car.
Great move by Linnerud. It really closed Kurai down onto the curve, so Kurai didn't have much room or anywhere to go, but Rustad, the big loser off that start, looked like it bogged and dropped him right to the back.
Did indeed. Grosjean in the same car, obviously, as last year. It just seems more comfortable in it. Rustad's just not quite there. So Rustad had to change over the winter, you know, went from the Polo to the Peugeot. And in fact, Rustad there looked like he was going to go to the Joker and then change his mind at the last minute. We know the car's fast, obviously, from what Grosjean's done this weekend. To win all 4 Qs is pretty amazing.
He's been very impressive, hasn't he? And Andy Scott's been very happy with him, and it's great for him to have Janin and Rustad, the top 2 from last year's European Championship, in the same team. It's going to be a great inter-team battle, I think, to see how that progresses on through the season. And I think Rustad's still going to be very strong, obviously, just because he's had a bit of a bad weekend here. He's on top of his game. Normally, you look at how he performed last year.
I was going to say, one of the most professional drivers on the grid. I think a few people surprised he didn't make the step up to World RX, being the European champion. But, you know, European Championship, great, because you've only got the 5 events. It's a bit more affordable in terms of a budget for supercars. These things are not cheap per lap, but they are very, very good fun to drive.
Absolutely, and the European, the depth of competition, there's a huge amount of cars, there's a really big entry. But Linnerud's going well, and we saw him last year in the World Championship with Christopherson Motorsport. He was very strong on pace then, so he's had a couple of unlucky things this weekend, but I think he'll be a challenger for the title as well.
Still running the 99 on his car, and it is in fact his car from last year. Linnerud over the weekend was 4th, he was 5th twice, and he was 7th once in the qualifying session, so good. Grosjean's really tidy on the way into this last corner. It seems to be that his style is quite minimal.
Yeah, it's very neat and tidy. He doesn't slide the car too much, and he carries good speed everywhere. The car looks quite stiff, and obviously having had a year in the car, he's got it exactly to his liking, whereas Rustad, I think, has been trying some different things. He hasn't done a huge amount of testing, and when they did test it was wet on both days, so he's trying to get the car to, you know, so he can feel it, so he does exactly what he wants it to.
Kurai really sideways out the hairpin at the back of the straight at the minute. Tohill and Kasmarski have taken their Joker laps, but none of the top 4 have, so the top 4 still to Joker. Or any of them going to go on this lap, so Kurai decides not to again. Rustad in fourth. Rustad, in some ways, I thought might have gone then just to try and cover off the guys behind him. How much of a gap has he got? Rustad over Tohill, only about, well, he's got about 4 seconds, so Rustad's got enough time. That would have put him in clear air, and then he could get on with chasing Karai, but
Janin just clipped the tyres in and right up onto 2 wheels. I don't think it's punching a tyre or anything, but you're seeing that's brought Linnerud right onto his back bumper.
Linnerud applying the pressure. Grosjean flicks it up through that section.
I would expect Linnerud to go to the Joker now. I'd be very surprised if he follows him in. Yeah, you could see he hesitated a little bit, see what Janin was going to do in the Peugeot 208, and Linnerud did the opposite.
Out then off the Joker lap comes Linnerud. Linnerud's going to be alongside Rustad. Rustad, though, I think is going to slot in behind him. He does. So Linnerud has now jokered, and the leader, Grosjean, hasn't. So Linnerud has got to put in an absolute barnstormer of a lap. And hope the Grosjean has a problem as in the commentary position. Karai just came up round the last corner. Super sideways. Oh! Rustad up on 2 wheels. Rustad clips a tyre bail on the inside, puts the car on 2 wheels. The front bumper's hanging off, but he's lucky there wasn't more hanging off than that. Final lap of semi-final number 1. Grosjean leading from Linnerud. Grosjean yet to Joker. Here he goes. So Grosjean has to Joker this time. He's got to get it right because Linnerud wasn't far behind him. Sends the car sideways around that last corner. Rustad goes into the Joker lap 2 behind. The win is going to go to Grosjean. So Grosjean goes through to the front row of the final. And Rustad has made it up into 3rd place. So great job by Rustad. Linnerud in 2nd. Both the Albertech Racing cars of the champion and the vice-champion from last year make it through to the final of the 1st round of the European Supercar Championship. Tohill coming over the line, I think in 6th place. The driver's causing most of the action there by clipping the tyre bales down at the bottom, but nobody went onto their roof. And this is how they finished. Semi-final 1, Jerome Grosjean with the win from Tord Linnerud and Tommy Rustad. You can see championship points down the right-hand side. Karai, Kasmarski and Tohill still get championship points, but don't qualify for the final. Semi-final 2 for European Supercar rolling up to the grid. On the pole in Semi-2, Johnny-Pekka Rajala, Kevin Hansen next to him. Row 2, Tamas Paukis and Lucas Cornell. And row 3, Alexander Wahl and Christoph Holovchik. Monster Energy Girls leaving the grid. Wahl, the last driver to roll up to his position. Wahl in a brand new vehicle built by Per Eklund. This is the 2016 version, which apparently is pretty different to the 2015 one, which Rajala is sitting in pole in. Green flag from the marshal at the top of the gantry. Semi-final 2 is ready to go. Kevin Hansen will be looking to get down to turn 1 ahead of Rajala. Can Paukis hook it up from behind? Paukis was quickest of all the Peugeots in free practice on day 1. Another really long hold, a very even start across Paukis with a little bit of sideways, but it's Kevin Hansen who's hooked it up the best. Paukis comes through from row 2, so Paukis up to 3rd place, and then it's Rajala's gone down the inside of Kevin Hansen. Kevin Hansen's gone wide, so Rajala back into the lead. Kevin Hansen, oh, and that's Paukis has been spun round. So Paukis has been spun round, and Lucas Cornell, I think, has made it up into 3rd place. Kevin Hansen now trying to apply the pressure to Rajala.
Yeah, Hansen with the best start, and he looked like he was carried a bit too much speed, and then there was a little bump in his rear bump from Rajala, which then allowed the beetle up the inside. But big shame for Thomas Paukis. He's been really impressive. He was 3rd quickest in, I don't know, Rajala looked like he was hesitating a little bit there.
I wasn't sure, was he trying to decide or whether he just couldn't pick his breaking point. Wahl's gone into the Joker lap on that one, and Paukis looks to me to be missing. I think Paukis is parked down at the bottom of the hill. We'll soon see when they come back through. There's the Joker lap merge as the cars head over the jump in front of us.
It'll be interesting to see what Hansen's spotters do, because Hansen, when he's been in clear air, has been really, really quick. He's been on similar sort of pace to Sebastian Loeb. So it'll be interesting to see whether they just sit behind Rajala, wait for Rajala to take the Joker. Or obviously, if he doesn't take it by coming into the last lap, then Hansen does something different. But I think it's only going to be Rajala who's really racing for the win in this one.
Kevin Hansen, will he go to a Joker early, or is he going to hold on? No, he's not. Why wouldn't you go to the Joker there and get released? I can't understand it.
The only thing is, if they're worried about him coming out behind Lucas Cornell when Hansen's taking his Joker, so he likes to run him a couple more laps, get a big enough gap behind, so when they do take it, he comes out in clear air.
So basically, just, yes, you may be losing time to Rajala, but if you're gaining time on the rest of the field, it does, you know, with Rajala, sorry, losing time with Rajala, it doesn't really matter. But Hansen is all over him. It's a great drive from Timmy's younger brother. Good to see him in a supercar this year, isn't it? A programme of World Championship and European Championship supercar racing. You kind of thinking that Kevin Hansen is going to be a big star in the future.
I think so, and as I say, he's been very quick. He's been quick at the first 3 rounds. I got Kevin to the Joker, so he ducked out and carried pretty good speed. We got it pretty under control at the apex, out into clear air, so now we'll be able to push hard. We'll see some really quick laps, I imagine, from Kevin, and then get the undercut on Rajala.
Kevin gets the tick next to his name on the graphic at the top of your screen. Rajala still to Joker. If you're new to Rallycross, remember you have to take the Joker lap once in every race, whether it's a heat race, a qualifying race, the semis or the finals. In the background we can see Palkis's car. So Tamas Palkis did retire on the first lap. It looked like he was running over his own wheel, in fact, so I wonder if his wheel had been broken. Of course, he wouldn't know that at the time, and then he's had to retire the car, so it is a shame. But Palkis, who's come from a background in single-seaters. OK, Rajala responds straight into the Joker lap. He wants to be on the front row. It's a great Joker by Rajala. This is going to be a drag race down the straight. Rajala's pulling gears, but Kevin Hansen has got the job done in just 1 lap. So Kevin on an absolute flyer. I guess he was probably pushing there.
Yeah, he'll have been pressing on there. Did a 39.1, so a good lap time, and it's all contact out of the commentary box with Val going straight on. But you can see Rajala's guys had got him to do the Joker then, and to try and counter what Kevin was doing, but he'd got too much of a gap.
Kevin Hansen leading from Rajala, and it was Alexander Val, but Alexander Val has now pulled up in front of the commentary box. He's gone straight on down towards the start grid, so Val has dropped out of that position, and that was after contact with Cornell. So he had, and Cornell now makes a mistake in the background, so Cornell's made a mistake, and I think Holovchik is going to try and come through. Last lap, messy between these two. They've all jokered, and they come on to their last lap, so they've just got the 1 lap to go. But out front, Kevin Hansen has already gapped Rajala.
Yeah, he's in a class of his own, isn't he, in this semi-final. It's going to be really interesting if he finishes where he's running. He'll be on the front row with Janin in the other Peugeot, so it's going to be really interesting. It'll be an interesting fight between the two of them, I would think.
Ex-Works Peugeot against an Albertech Racing Run Peugeot. Andy Scott will enjoy that. I'm sure the team boss of Albertech Racing. But Kevin Hansen comes through to win semi-final number 2. Good drive by him. Handed it to Rajala, who's still quick in second place. And this is Lucas Cornell fighting towards the finish line with Christoph Holovchik. But it is Cornell that gets the flag, so Cornell's going to go through. Palkis retired, and Alexander Val still sitting in the Beetle in the start-finish straight, so I don't know if he's had a mechanical and just can't move it. Crowd sticking around because they've got the European Supercar finals after the World RX final today, so that's nice for them to get a little bit of extra action. Kevin Hansen taking the win from Johnny-Pekka Rajala. Lucas Cornell in third. Then it's Holovchik, Val and Palkis. Neil Cole has managed to grab, I think, probably Kevin Hansen. And we can go down and have a chat with Kevin now.
Kevin, a brilliant drive, great strategy, good speed.
Yeah, the speed is really good, and it's a World Championship winning car, so I cannot complain. And I drive really well, if I can say myself, and I'm really proud of the team. So let's go to the final, and I hope to get a podium.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Hansen very pleased with that, and rightly so. Away from the line, from the back row there. Fantastic start by Holovchik. Almost came around the outside of everyone.
Let's keep an eye on Palkis here. Look, there in the white Peugeot with the green on. He gets a big hit from Val, really. Broken rear suspension, so there's nothing Palkis could do about that. But Hansen really in a class of his own behind the Beetle, just biding his time until he got the call to go to the Joker lap, and when he did, he got into clear air and checked out into the distance, really, didn't he?
He did indeed. Absolutely fantastic lap. This was Rajala in the Beetle. Full gas from Rajala there, sideways through the left-hander. But Kevin had done enough in that 1 lap to make sure that he wouldn't be able to get back past. Kevin Hansen takes the win in semi-final 2, and he will be on the front row in the final. Looking forward to this one. It's the first European Supercar Championship final of the year. On the front row then, Jerome Grosjean with Kevin Hansen. 2 Peugeots from 2 different teams. Row 2, Johnny-Pekka Rajala and Tord Linnerud. And row 3, Tommy Rustad, the champion, and Lucas Cornell. So both of the Albertech cars making it through to the final. Rustad, the champion, on the back row. Grosjean, the runner-up from last year, on the front row. That's it, job done for the weekend, they're off. And there's just one race to go. The crowd are still here waiting to see the final supercar run of the weekend. Great to see, literally all of them are stuck around. Green flag for the last time. Can Kevin Hansen run down to the first corner ahead of Grosjean, or is Grosjean going to pip it? Anti-lag on. Raj looked like a great start in the background. Kevin Hansen and Grosjean very, very equal starts. Indeed, Lucas Cornell right the way across to the inside. Linnern trying to go around the outside of him. Fantastic job though. Grosjean leads from Kevin Hansen.
And we've got a race between the two up front, and Janin again clipping those tyres and launching the car in the air. But we've seen Hansen's been very quick when he's been in clear air, but Janin has been a class act this weekend. Quickest in all 4 qualifying sessions, one in semi, so he's the man to beat.
Do you think Grosjean's got the pace, obviously, or Hansen? I mean, obviously he's quickest all the way through, but Kevin's a real racer as well.
Yeah, Janin's been quick, consistent every lap, hitting his marks, not making any mistakes. Kevin's had a bit of a rough time of it in the heats, but when he's been in clear air, his raw pace has been very, very quick.
Past the commentary position and over the crest for the first time. Grosjean, who won here last year. It was his only win in the European Supercar Championship last year. Just didn't quite go right for him at the end of the season. I'm sure he was a little bit nervous when Rustad was signed in the team as well. I know Albert Racing, Andy Scott would have spoken to Grosjean, I'm sure, and said, look, you know, is this cool? But what do you do when the champion signs in the same team as you? Your teammate's always your hardest person to beat.
You try and beat him. Yeah, that's the only thing to do, isn't it? And so far this weekend he has done. Hansen's just dropping back a little bit. Rustad a bit of a late decision there. There's no point stuck behind Cornell because he's going to lose him some time. So Rustad will be hoping to get a podium out of this.
Rustad coming out alongside Linnern and Rustad racing down the straight to get into the turning point of the last corner. Look at Linnern, stands it on the nose. He's going to run right. Rustad's going to chuck it over the jump, side by side down to the bottom. He'll now be hoping that little bit of contact there with Rustad though just runs him a little bit wide. So Linnern, nicely done. Holds on. And then lays down 600 horsepower through the long, sweeping left-handed hairpin onto the back straight. Grosjean and Kevin Hansen. Kevin absolutely all over the back of him, but at some point Kevin's going to have to go. When's the gap going to be big enough?
I was just looking at the sector times, and he'd taken 4 tenths out of Janin in the lead on the first sector alone. So let's see what the lap time was if it comes up on the screen. He's taken 7 tenths out of him on that lap, so it'll be getting close to the point when do they joker him to get the undercut.
And I think they've got enough of a gap behind them pretty much, so it looks like 4.3 seconds back to Cornell. The joker here we think's just over 3, so I wouldn't be surprised now to see Hansen go on this lap.
And then I would expect Albert will go the lap after, I would think, to counter that, to see, and so Kevin will have to put the lap of his life, and if he jokers now, he'll make a decision. Yeah, jokers now, so now he's got to put an absolute blinding lap in to try and get the undercut.
It's a tidy joker from Kevin Hansen, pops it up over the curves, and he will now go absolutely flat out. His spotter shouts, push at him all the while. I'm sure he's pushing hard anyway, but just to try and get that extra little edge. Kenneth Hansen up in the spotters tower as well, so the World Championship racing is finished, and Kenneth is up here desperately trying to push Kevin on to try and get another great result for the Peugeot Hansen squad this weekend. It's all about this lap.
Hansen looks like he's really pushing, waiting for the sector to come up. Yeah, Hansen's on a really quick first sector. I think he's going to do it. He's going to be really close.
Andrew Jordan was bang on. Grosjean chucks it into the joker laps. Really, look at Kevin Hansen. My goodness me, that is an outrageous lap. Great spot, Andrew Jordan. He got the tactics bang on for both of them, but Kevin's done the job.
Yeah, 39.1. He took a lot of time out on the lap. Did it when he needed to. We've said all along this weekend he's been very quick over one lap. The Albert team will be disappointed with that. They've led all the way up to this point in the weekend. They've been the guys to beat. It's not over yet. Kevin's got to keep it neat and tidy, but that's going to be a stonking result for him.
Absolutely fantastic. So Kevin Hansen proving that it does run through the family. Dad has been a European champion. Mum has been a European champion. Timmy Hansen was a runner-up in the World Championship last year, and now Kevin Hansen takes the win in round 1 of the European Supercar Championship for 2016. Pipping Grosjean on the last lap. And coming across the line in 3rd place is Tord Linnern. So Linnern gets 3rd. Hansen is pulling handbrake turns and doing half donuts down in front of the spotters tower. Brilliant drive by Kevin Hansen. Here's the result of the first round of the European Supercar Championship. Kevin Hansen takes the win from Jerome Grosjean in Tord Linerud, Lucas Cornell in fourth, and it was Rustad and Johnny-Pekka Rajala. Hansen then operating at a very, very high level indeed, Andrew Jordan. We picked the tactics right. He didn't look, I suppose he did look a bit quicker than Grosjean, but I didn't think he'd be that much quicker over one lap.
He really dug deep, didn't he, when he needed to there, and obviously it runs in the family. Kenneth looks very, very proud stood up there, which is great to see. He was all over Jerome, and they joked him just at the right time. Great teamwork there. A really impressive drive from him. So I think the next thing on the list to learn from Kenneth is some good donuts.
It is indeed, yeah, it is indeed. Colour handbrake turns, but not quite a full donut down in front of the spotters tower. I remember Andreas Backer who couldn't do donuts the first time we wanted a supercar, so he'll get there, I'm sure. That will be a very pleasant sight indeed. Checkered flag for Kevin Hansen, wins round 1 of the European Supercar Championship.
Kevin, we can see how much that meant to you, but it was a brilliant drive. Talk us through the final.
Yeah, I started from second place, you know, and had to follow Romain the first couple of laps to play the Joker tactic right. And when I took it, I really pushed on the one lap I had. I saw he made a mistake in the first chicane, and I saw I was really close, so I just kept pushing and came out in front and just one lap to go and bring him the victory. Just amazing in the first European run.
Championship standings after round 1, equal on points, Kevin Hansen and Jerome Grosjean. That's thanks to Jerome Grosjean's fantastic performance in qualifying here, and then Hansen, of course, winning the final. Linerud, Pekka Rajala, Lucas Cornell, Tommy Rustad, Tamas Karai and Tamas Palkis.
Well, it's first blood to the young guns here in Belgium. Thanks for watching. Join us next time when the Euro RX show returns from the Scandinavian Rallycross heartland, Norway. See you in hell.